And then one of the core values that I like to go by in life is that if I can't make it or fix it myself, then usually I'm not going to go for said product or solution.
I feel often so many new people, they just feel overwhelmed and then they end up with shelves worth of stuff and they don't know how to necessarily engage with these products. And what's the recap the last 5 years? How much stuff have you added or, taken away from your grow methods?
I've actually taken away more than I've added, to be honest. A lot of the different training methods and whatnot, they're very great.
We're working on a project right now on mind mapping how many of these fertilizer lines are the exact same thing. Who's the main formulator in this industry? There has to be that one guy that's formulating all this shit.
What are Greengoblin510's core values? In this video, we're going to get into it. You're here with Greengoblin510 and the rest of the team here on Perfect Gardens TV. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook, our $2.99 membership, and if you need a little one-on-one, make sure to check out the VIP link down below in the description. Let's go ahead and get into the video, guys.
Make sure to hit the join button on the bottom of every video. Then I just hit you with the first question, like, Green Goblin, man, please introduce yourself to the channel. Tell us about yourself, maybe one of your core values you use to make decisions in life.
Well, I'm Green Goblin, and then one of the core values that I like to go by in life is that if I can't make it or fix it myself, then usually I'm not going to go for said product or solution, mainly because I've learned to not really count on a lot of companies or other people to rely on the things that I need. So if there's one thing I would live by is trying to be the most self-sufficient as possible.
Yeah, and I think you do. We're going to be diving into a lot of that stuff, but you do a very well job, really well-rounded with all your practices, and that really does show what you just said.
Thank you. Yeah, I like to practice a lot of different things like KNF, living soil, Jadam practices. I like to read about all of them because they're all different natural farming practices, and you can learn a little bit from each. That's for sure.
How he looks at it, it's like it's the purest form of farming, and it's also the way like an engineer likes to think, and it's pretty cool because
yeah, you nailed that right on the head. I'm technically an engineer. I'm the son of an engineer, so yeah, you technically nailed that right on the head.
You like to go to the basis of everything.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have like a true understanding of from the ground up application, it's hard for you to get into a true artistic, autistic, creative area where you're able to combine everything later in life at some point and make something that's either very helpful or useful for yourself or other people. And you have to have that desire to want to deep dive and just understand the fundamentals of all of it. Like, why am I doing this? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I doing that? All right. And like you said, it's getting into the equipment and also this industry. Like just kind of, you said not to talk too much about the industry, but if you're in it for a few years, you really do have to become self-reliant because, it's not just the amount of people that are unreliable, but it's also the amount of things you have to do. And you might not have access to someone in your network that's trustworthy or reliable. And so you're like, okay, I have to figure out my own electricity. Okay, I had to figure out my own plumbing. I never knew plumbing before, and then before you know it, you're moving around water pipes and you're YouTubing it and you're becoming familiar and comfortable with all the things you kind of need to keep going in the industry and be self-sufficient.
Oh, absolutely. Like you want to start learning a lot about things, become a gardener, become a farmer, because you'll become a jack of all trades and hopefully master a few.
Yeah. And that's like where I'm at with, I've been growing organic my whole life, vegetable gardens and stuff. And what I've really come comfortable with is that you don't have to do every single technique. Know that, like you said, read, engage yourself in communities, and further your knowledge, because you're going to make other connections, even if you don't necessarily do certain teas or ferments. But the most important thing is to engage yourself in really the understanding of the biology of these plants. And it's crazy, it's complex, but know it at the same time, you don't have to take on every method to be a successful organic grower. I feel often so many new people, they just feel overwhelmed and then they end up with shelves worth of stuff and they don't know how to necessarily engage with these products. And well, so-and-so said this, and next thing you know, they have a lot of good stuff, but how do you don't have the feedback from the plants just yet. So for me, it's like low and slow. Maybe this year I'll add 2 products, test it, record it, and then maybe next year I'll add 1, and maybe some come and grow. So there is a breathing of movement through your techniques, and some will stay and some will go. What have you found in your techniques? Like in terms of your growing methods, like what's the recap the last 5 years? How much stuff have you added or, taken away from your grow methods?
I've actually taken away more than I've added, to be honest. A lot of the different training methods and whatnot, they're very great and wonderful for people who operate in smaller spaces. You got a 2x2 or, a 4x4 tent. You're really trying to maximize that space. But a lot of the different training methods, when you have a little bit larger space, a little bit larger room, just take more time than what they're worth if you're not limited by numbers per se.
Yeah.
So I've learned that, I like to let the plants grow on their own and express what the structure they like to present first. And then if I have to, then I'll do some slight training or a manipulation or trellis some plants up if they need it. Over the years, like I said, I've noticed the less is more, definitely.
Yeah. And that's a key factor. It's hard. You just have to get out there to do it, but eventually you do learn. And that's where like Mark and some of the other members I talk, I'm like, I feel like a simpleton in this community because I really just like, I want a good, clean soil. I add some eggshells. I do certain things. Yes, it can, when you write the list out, it can seem complex, but at the same time, I'm like, it's just a flow of my life. Like today we had eggs, dry some out, crush them and throw them in my amended soil. That's not going to be used for a few months and stuff like that. And like you said, a lot of stuff kind of just tends to go away and you realize how little you do need to successfully grow.
And also the development of your own mindset of kind of what you're doing. And you're, like you're saying, you're simplifying the process, but I hate to say it too, you're shifting your mindset, whether you realize it or not, you're shifting your mindset into a commercial production mindset, even by accident, because you're out there in a commercial production, they're not doing all these fancy things. They're realizing I'm going to take advantage. I'm going to slim the fat, reduce my overall cost as much as possible. But at the same time too, though, on the other side, if you, like you're saying, let the plant grow its true expression, don't try not to manipulate too much as well. You kind of get to that same point to both sides, whether you're a hobbyist grower or you're a commercial farmer, both of us kind of lead to that same point of simplifying this process for extracting the most potential, whether it's monetary or whether it's yield or whether it's medicine, whatever way you're looking at the value of the plant. And you're, like you said, you're taking more away than you've added. Yeah, it's really important. Less is more. I think that was really nice.
Well, especially nowadays, it's not an easy thing to do. There's so many products. Everyone just recoining, rebranding, new
marketing.
I mean, the marketing,
Well, they're all the same thing. Like they all go down to the same ionic form.
No, actually, Dave told me this about you use Obsidian, and that's where he got it from. We're working on a project right now on mind mapping how many of these fertilizer lines are the exact same thing. Exact same.
Oh, that would work well for that.
You can see that already, right? It's just okay. It's like you could see where are they getting all these. Who's the main formulator in this industry? There has to be that one guy that's formulating all this shit for all these people, and he's the white business guy. Oh yeah, go talk to Greg.
Was it the guy with the big chops named Harley by any chance? Maybe he could have been one of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I wasn't thinking about that. Yeah, he was.
Oh, yeah, it'd be definitely great software because be like, okay, these 40 companies, so this is all derived from bone meal and feather meal and this, or this is all derived from mining it out of the rock and chelating it beforehand.
When I saw your video on that, I never heard of Obsidian. I didn't realize it was already out for a few years. And I'm like, man, I got to talk to Mark. This is my jam because I like collecting my thoughts. I like writing. I like being able to observe them later. I don't dictate when I have to complete that thought or not. And that software, Obsidian, really allows you to engage when you want or to reconnect to thoughts. And making these connections with your plants, simple notebooks too. Like, oh, 2 days ago, the leaves were perfectly green and now they're wilted and done. Well, I haven't watered in 4 days, but a lot of people don't, they don't see those observations by collecting that data.
Oh, absolutely.
So for example, we can't use Serenade. Serenade is a Bacillus pumilus, because if we did, I think that would end up failing one of our microbials. So it's not approved for Canada in Canada. Where I believe in California, you are allowed to use Bacillus pumilus.